Hello and welcome to Is This Your Card? Today we're going to be looking at the Druid legendary Cenarius. Cenarius is a 9-cost 5/8, who is a legendary card requiring 400 dust when you disenchant it, or 1600 dust to craft, and the gold version being 1600 dust when disenchanted and 3200 dust to craft. Cenarius' stat line compared to other 9-cost minions is pretty bad. Compared to the best statted minion in terms of just pure stats for 9 cost, Ice Howl, who is a 10/10 for 9. We have Cenarius, who is a 5/8 for 9. Even compared to the standard stat line, which is generally 8/8 for 9 with a really cool effect, Cenarius is actually 3 attacks short. But what does Cenarius do that makes Cenarius a card worth playing, even though it doesn't have an amazing stat line? Cenarius fits in almost every single deck because of its 2 abilities that you can choose from when you enter the battlefield. Either Cenarius gives every other minion on your board +2/+2, effectively 2 power of the wilds, or Cenarius summons 2 2/2 Trents with Taunt. The really powerful things about Cenarius is that +2/+2 buff, giving you 14 damage across the board. For the effective cost of 5 mana and the cost of 2 powers of the wild, which would add up to 9, you get a 5/8 and +2/+2 to all other minions. If you really need them, you can take the 2/2 Trents with Taunt, but really, it's just 2 Taunt bodies that aren't even that good, though it does fit in nicely with a ramp deck or decks that benefit and buff Taunt cards. What you really want to be doing with Cenarius is you want to be playing him when you either have a strong board or no board. That's why Cenarius' Trents appear. In truth, though, you actually just want to be playing him when you have a good board. Even if you don't have amazing minions on the board, so that you've got 1/1s or 1/7s or whatever, even if you've got weak minions, the 2/2 buff from Cenarius makes them incredible. It's like a hobgoblin for every minion you've ever played that's currently on your board. This buff is silenceable, and the buff doesn't apply to Cenarius himself, so you can't buff Cenarius with Cenarius without playing another Cenarius. Also, faces manipulating Cenarius won't do any good, but silencing Cenarius himself won't knock off the buff. If you want to get rid of Cenarius' effect, you have to silence the affected minion, as it generally works with permanent buffs. This means unlike Aviana, whose area buff is an aura and therefore can be silenced, Cenarius' buff is a spell and therefore cannot be silenced from Cenarius. This does give him some advantage in being able to buff a weak board and then potentially draw a silence from a very inexperienced player. Cenarius by himself, though, won't win any games. In truth, he's actually probably one of the worst statted 9-drops in the entire game, though he's better than Aviana, who is a 5/5 for 9. Truth be told, Druid actually has the worst 9-drops stat-wise, but effect-wise, has probably the best. If you compare it to King Crush, for example, which is the Hunter's 9-drop, which is an 8/8 with charge, would you rather have an 8/8 charge minion, or would you rather have a 5/8 that buffs every other minion to +2/+2 or summons 2 taunts? Or would you rather have a 9-drop 5/5 that makes every minion you play while she's on the board cost 1? Cenarius isn't any good on the board by himself. Let's be honest, 2 2/2 Trents are really easy to knock over on turn 9. Although, if the enemy has got a lot of powerful minions, it's going to waste a lot of his damage. But even so, you don't want to be wasting Cenarius like that. Cenarius is a good minion, but he isn't going to be in anyone's top 10 or top 20 for Druid legendary cards. Well, not Druid legendary cards, but any legendary cards. He's not an amazing legendary, but he can incredibly turn the tide of battle when he's played. By himself, pretty useless, but with a strong board or even a weak board, just having board presence means that Cenarius gains immediate value, and that's the time when you want to use him. That's the time when Cenarius is most effective, when there are other minions around.